Let's speak to our in-house expert on jihadist movements, Wassim Nasr. Hello to you, Wassim. First of all, I just want to begin. Is the situation today in Mali worse than it was when France had intervened back in 2013?
Well, actually, frankly, it is worse. Because back in 2013, when France intervened, they intervened in northern Mali to prevent the jihadis from going further south or in the center of the country. They succeeded militarily. But then the jihadis spread from the north to the center, and they kept evolving in the center of Mali, making the situation much, much worse than it was before. They are not holding towns or cities, but they're actually controlling the territory all around main towns and cities. So the situation is actually worse. At the time, we had 4 or 5 jihadi groups fighting in the north. They succeeded in uniting in 2017 by the creation of Jama'at al-Muslimin with Iyad Aghali. That was a very political gain for Al-Qaeda, since Iyad Aghali himself is a prominent Tuareg figure. He's not just a jihadi figure. Before being a jihadi figure, he was a prominent Tuareg figure. He was a diplomat. He was a politician. So the fact that they attracted him in their ranks is a good political gain for them, which permitted Al-Qaeda to really be inside the political and the economic equation in northern and central Mali today. Then in 2015, a faction of jihadis vowed allegiance to the Islamic State, and kept on evolving till 2019, where it was really, it made really big scores on killing in the ranks of the Malian army, the army of Niger, and Burkinabe army, and they kept evolving till 2020. To make it short, till the point where France, after the meeting of Pau in January 2020, put much more effort in the area called the region of the 3 borders, and to contain them. But what contained them, along with French and African military effort, was the infighting between jihadi groups. Because the Islamic State today is fighting Al-Qaeda there, and Al-Qaeda is fighting the Islamic State. As we speak, they are fighting in the Gourma region in Mali, and civilians are paying a very high price because of this fighting. Meaning that some areas and some villages weren't concerned by the fight, weren't concerned by jihadi factions, but the absence of the state, of the Malian state, and made them or forced them to choose between Al-Qaeda and or the Islamic State. So to go back to your question, of course it is worst because the dynamic of jihadi groups kept on evolving despite the huge military effort that was put on the table, because military effort alone isn't enough. Everybody says we have to have development, etc. No, we have to have justice. And the state, the Malian state, should have went back to those abandoned areas after the military effort was accomplished. That wasn't made.
Yeah, so some failings on state security as we look at that brief history of the past 9 years. Wassim, let's look ahead. What will the impact of this withdrawal be for the jihadist groups and for political stability in the country?
Well, there will be a huge impact on the ground, militarily speaking, because once the French forces retreat, we have to see how it's going to evolve then. Is the Malian airspace will be off for the French military? Would they be able to keep backing the Malian army? Because also, as we speak, and despite the political tension between Bamako and Paris, Malian and French military are still working together in Mali. So how would this evolve? Would the French planes will be able to back the Malian army? Would the French drones will be able to fly there? We know, for example, that German drones of the BINUSMA were asked to have a 36 hours permit before flying a drone, which kills the efficiency of a drone. So this is very important. This is to be monitored, and I got to know that some pressure were put by the Malian officers on French officers working with them. So we'll see how would this evolve. And actually, as you said before, the heart of jihadi groups today is in Mali. So if if fighting them cannot include Malian soil, it will change many things. For the Islamic State, for example, they are very present in Niger, in Tillaberi, and in Burkina Faso. For Al-Qaeda too. But it doesn't mean that fighting them in Niger and in Burkina Faso would give a solution or a better situation for Mali. It is really important to know that if air power, French air power, isn't available in northern Mali, it will give a more free hand for the jihadis. But on the other hand, a prerequisite of the jihadis to enter talks with Bamako was the departure of French military and of the MINUSMA. We are going towards this today. France was preventing those talks from materializing. I was in Nouakchott last week for an African summit, but around this summit were present many prominent figures, African figures, among them the Minister of Reconciliation, the Malian Minister of Reconciliation, who is one of the 5 officers who made the coup, Colonel Ouagué. There was the Minister of Religious Affairs. There was the Imam Diko, with whom I talked for more than an hour privately, and many other prominent African power brokers, if I may say so. And we know that some contacts were made in order to reactivate such talks. We don't know if it's gonna happen, if it's gonna have if it will have any conclusions. But if at least a ceasefire is reached, it would be a very powerful political card to be played by Bamako, because they will be able to say, now that the French are out, look, we are being able to talk among each other, among Malians. Because the equation today is the following. The junta, the Malian Bamako wants France out, the jihadis want France out, and the Russians want the French out. So all those 3 can talk together in order to prove that once France is out, we can have a ceasefire, or we can have something similar to a ceasefire. We're not there yet, but it could evolve this way.